Hey, Archie, is there actually any good financial advice on the internet?
Well, Rob, I think I may have found a couple of examples. Let's check them out. I'm Archie Hoxton.
And I'm Rob Hoxton.
And this is Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. Welcome back to the Last Paycheck Podcast. We're your hosts, Archie Hoxton and Rob Hoxton. And today, we're doing another reaction video. We're going to be reacting to some internet financial advice. If you remember last time, we reacted to some really bad advice. This time, we're actually going to be reacting to some good advice.
Not necessarily delivered well, but...
Yeah. Some of them are maybe a little rough around the edges for our taste. The first one is more like a hammer, and that might be a hint if you know some of the internet financial advisors, where I'd say we probably like to be more like a scalpel, maybe, in our delivery. So, so we'll just go ahead and get started.
You live with your mom at 40? Why?
Because I can't afford it. What does it matter? Like 40, at 50, at 60? Some people are homeless at 70.
Yeah. Don't you want to be more independent?
Yes, but I can't afford it right now.
You make $3,466 a month. 30% would get you $1,000 a month in rent. Is what you could afford. If you're not able to do that, that means your spending is out of whack.
I mean, I like to spend. I like my Starbucks.
No, I don't go there. I like beans that taste good.
Look, it's delicious. I mean, I won't let you sip from it because that's gross.
You're like so defensive. This is like wild.
You're asking me about my personal finances.
What did you think this
but
show
you're like
was?
really
You signed up
drilling
for
me on
this
my
show.
Starbucks. This is my Starbucks.
You signed up for this show. What do you think this is?
What do you want me to, like, not ever drink coffee?
What are you?
Like, I should just be at home drinking water?
That's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever said. Heard. Oh my gosh, I can't even do words right now.
Am I making you nervous?
How about this? Don't buy Starbucks every day if you can't afford rent.
Wow. So
There's a lot to unpack in this video.
yeah, this one is it's really, and it's interesting because Caleb Hammer, who is the guy giving the advice, like I mentioned earlier, his style is very much the hammer. I mean, he really brings down the hammer on the people who go on this show.
And it's entertaining. I mean, but it's kind of like watching a backyard brawl.
Yeah,
Right?
It is. And how effective was the delivery? I don't know. I think probably someone who's got a mindset like this maybe needs a little bit of the hammer.
Well,
approach,
certainly needs to receive advice from someone that she respects or they respect, and it needs to be honest.
Yeah.
And honest advice here is not going to be that easy to receive, probably.
Right. And it's going to be somewhat harsh. I mean, that's the mark of a good financial advisor, in my opinion, is someone who's not afraid to deliver harsh truth, because the truth is really important.
Look, and it's not really about Starbucks.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's really about the way this person makes financial decisions. And there seems to be a sense of entitlement that's like, look, I don't make a whole lot of money. I have to live at home because I can't afford to do other things and enjoy some of the luxuries that are important to me. Right? So I'm sure there are probably other expenses that she regularly incurs that are, by some people's definitions, maybe luxuries. Certainly with Starbucks, you can get a coffee maker and make a nice cup of coffee at home and, put some milk in it and some sugar, whatever it is that's important.
Yeah.
And not spend $7.50 on a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Every day.
And Starbucks is not cheap, particularly if you're getting sort of the fancier kinds of coffees. Like if you're getting just a black coffee, that's pretty cheap.
Right.
But again, that's not really the problem. And I noticed there was almost this sort of defense mechanism that she kind of brought in, where she created like almost a false dichotomy where it's like, okay, if I can't have Starbucks, then that means I can never drink any coffee and never leave home.
I have to stay home and drink water.
I was like, well, okay, come on. There's
Cry
a middle
me a river,
ground,
right? Yeah. I mean, she doesn't make a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. And I believe she's a single parent, so she can't just live anywhere.
Right.
But I get the sense that she's probably used this argument successfully with her mom, and her mom cares about her probably, and certainly the grandchild, and so there she is. Maybe she says that she wants to be financially independent, but her actions don't bear that out.
Well, because there'd be a significant cost to becoming financially independent, and there's a big part of me that now the mindset is not a healthy financial mindset, but there's a part of me that empathizes with the fact that, $1,000 for rent is what he had kind of said, all right, 30% of your income goes to that. There's not a whole lot of places where you can really realistically swing that.
You're going to have some roommates probably.
Yeah, but if as a single parent, like how do you make that work?
Yeah.
So there's a part of this that is, okay, it would be really difficult to make it work as a single parent with $3,500 a month in income. But it wouldn't be impossible. And especially given that she has the opportunity where she can live with a parent and she's still kind of just spending somewhat frivolously, that there's an opportunity to really get ahead and build financial independence to the point where maybe you could move out. But it means making some
save
kind of
the Starbucks
today.
money.
Yeah.
Set it aside, build a little nest egg that gets you launched, essentially, if that's what you want.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that that's what she really wants.
Well, and the real danger is, and the way I see it, the real danger is years down the road where she's had this mindset and she's spent money on kind of frivolous things like spending a ton of money on Starbucks every day. That compounded over time where, okay, there's going to come a time where she can't work, right?
Mom's going to be gone.
We don't know if her mother rents or owns her home. If she rents, then this woman's going to be in serious trouble. And so that's where that mindset and not making these changes over time. I mean, 40, you've got a good while to work. I mean, she's got there's time to really correct that.
But mom's probably very close, if not already or not already retired.
Right.
And she could be 60-ish or maybe even more.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the real danger in this kind of mindset is what happens years down the road when this mindset has you've allowed it to eat up all of your income and prevent you from really getting ahead. Because there's a lot of, I don't know what the rest of the video is, but there's so much opportunity for her to save and build something and prepare for the future, especially that she has a mom that she can live with. And she's obviously fine with that. She doesn't feel a sense that she needs to move out. That's $3,500 a month that you can spend.
Right. And it's not, like you said, Archie, it's not an all or nothing thing. Like so many things in life, maybe a small adjustment over a period of time makes a big difference. It's like me with diet. I carry an extra 30 or 40 pounds depending upon which doctor I talk to. And if I could just consistently make a small adjustment in my caloric intake, it would probably make a big deal. But if I fall off the wagon, I'll stay off the wagon for about 3 or 4 days before I get back on the diet, right? So it's like, it's either extremes. If you maybe cut back and not go to Starbucks as often and save some of that money over time, that makes a big difference. But it doesn't have to be, water and stay at home or Starbucks twice a day.
Yeah, it can be in the middle.
And you can approach all of your life like that. I mean, there's so many, because I'm sure there are other expenses. I mean, if she's saying she can't afford to move out and to become financially independent, well, you've got $3,500 a month that none of that is going to rent or utilities. So there are definitely areas where you can go from the extreme of spending to the middle and still enjoy the occasional Starbucks, the occasional whatever other kind of splurges, and find that middle ground and be disciplined about saving the difference.
Archie, you want to watch another video?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I don't trust the stock market that much. I feel like it's so manipulated these days. I feel like there's like darker forces that are like, can use the media to control it and like can like create articles to affect how the market goes. Do you think it's still a safe place for people to invest?
I do. I've got millions and millions of dollars in mutual funds. So if I'm in a mutual fund, I'm in 90 to 200 different stocks. It's McDonald's or Home Depot or Dell Computer or Apple or Exxon or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's in that
Rooms to go or whatever.
Exactly, all that. And so in those 90 to 200, is there some percentage of that problem going on? Yeah, there is. In general, those 90 to 200 companies, I'm spread out wide enough, diversified. I'm spread out enough that I'm catching all the good, and it's more than offsetting the falsehood. I don't buy single stocks, mainly because they're higher risk and much more volatile, and you're much more prey to what if that.
So Dave should be believed because he's got millions and millions and millions of dollars in mutual funds.
Yeah.
But it's not bad advice.
Yeah, it's good advice. He eventually gets around kind of getting at the reason why, Theo here, this other gentleman, is maybe doesn't need to have the mindset that, investing in stocks is scary and you shouldn't trust the stock market because there's it's kind of conspiracy thinking. There's dark forces that are at work. Dave's response is, well, I have millions and millions and millions of dollars in the stock market. Therefore,
you can go ahead and do it too.
Trust it. It's like, well, that's not the real reason. He's right. You should feel comfortable investing in stocks in a way that matches your risk profile.
Right. And being diversified is great. But I don't know that there's all that much going on. I mean, especially large, public companies that you might buy when you buy an index fund. The companies he mentions, Home Depot, McDonald's, Rooms to Go, and they're public companies. They're regulated. They have to answer to the exchange. I mean, there's a lot.
Shareholders.
To the shareholders, accounting principles, all these things. They are not vast criminal enterprises.
Right.
Now, there have been companies that have gone rogue because of leadership. Enron was one that happened, many years ago. But the really sort of evil stuff, the dark stuff that he refers to, is probably more on the fringe. And it's where you're not investing in traditional, plain vanilla
blue chip
companies, whether they be individual stocks or an index fund or a mutual fund.
Right.
It's probably going to be like at the hands of a Bernie Madoff, who's actually a money manager and he's created a Ponzi scheme. So that's not the individual stocks. That's one man and whomever's helping him behind the scenes.
Right. When you think about a company, particularly a public company, their interest is to maximize their profit year after year and grow it over time, because that's what the shareholders kind of demand of the company. And they will, switch up the board members and change the leadership through their voting power if that doesn't happen.
Right.
So there is, when you think about it, as long as you're staying diversified and you're sticking with companies that have a history of that, and inevitably you'll own companies that don't do as well. But if you're spreading out your risk across lots and lots of companies, you're not gonna be affected by that one company that maybe doesn't do as well, or maybe that rogue company that there is some fraud going on at the company that the shareholders end up suffering from the consequences of that fraud. That might be a really, really tiny piece of your portfolio. So I think what he's getting at there is that, it's
more of the conspiracy theory stuff, isn't it? That he's probably picking up on the internet. There's plenty to not like about corporate America. I mean, you can have a problem with the way that CEOs are compensated. I mean, CEO compensation has never been higher than it is right now. And oftentimes, the way that their employment contracts are set up, they're incentivized to take more risk than maybe they should. Does that mean it's criminal? No. Or evil? No. But are they taking so much risk that can have a deleterious effect on the company and on the stock price? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Diversification helps with that, of course.
Absolutely.
You don't get poor by investing in America's greatest companies and staying invested for the long term. I mean,
Right.
It's been one of the greatest wealth creators in all of history.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think that if you look at the great companies that have come and gone over time, like, I mean, he mentions a few of them. McDonald's has been profitable for a long time, and it has built wealth for many people over a long, long, long stretch. Some companies like Walmart, these are older companies that have been in the spotlight for a long time, that Dave Ramsey is talking about. And if companies like that are really the cornerstone of your stock portfolio, and you've got lots of them, you might have some other ones because you want to catch some of the up-and-coming companies as well.
Yeah, the smaller companies.
Companies. But you're spreading out, so you're not concentrated because, over time, companies come into large indexes like the S&P 500 and they fall out. But if you're sticking with the great ones, and like in the S&P 500, if you buy that, you'll always have those great companies. So it's important to have a little faith in the future, a little faith in America's greatest companies and in the great companies all across the world, if you want to build wealth over time.
Archie, we should be careful to say that when we talk about investing in an index fund or a mutual fund or the S&P 500, we're not making investment advice to anybody who's watching this or listening to it. Everybody's financial situation is different, and therefore this type of financial advice has to be tailored specifically to your needs and desires and objectives.
Right.
So,
yeah, and the way to do that is either do your own research and really research thoroughly, or talk to a financial professional who can get to know you, get to know what's important to you, your objectives, and match an investment portfolio to those objectives. And be careful, because just how this is, a pretty decent piece of advice on the internet, there's a lot of really bad advice on the internet. We try to do occasionally a reaction video to some of the bad stuff too. And there'll be more of that to come, because there's no shortage.
I want to close by saying that Dave Ramsey has millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Good for him. Okay, well, that's about it for today. So remember to like, subscribe, and share with your family and friends. Leave us a comment if you have thoughts or questions, or if you want to see a particular topic covered in a future episode. And we'll hope to see you next time. You've been watching Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. If you like this show, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Last Paycheck is available anywhere you get your podcasts.